What up, everybody? Welcome to In the Chaos. My name is Brad. The stock market is crazy and chaotic, and I made it my mission to help you guys own it. It has been another atrocious day in the market right now. I'm looking at not futures. I'm looking at the indexes right now, and it is just not pretty out there, guys. It would seem as if the rally that we saw yesterday was a whole lot of nothing. I'm looking at the indexes right now, and I'm seeing that the S&P right now is down 2%. 78 points. The Dow's down 434 points, which is good for 1.5. NASDAQ is the biggest drop here at 3%, 331 points down on the NASDAQ. We're in $10,000 territory on the NASDAQ, and it has just not been good. Crude oil is holding up actually pretty decent at 81.36, and I'm looking at Bitcoin as well, and it's not bad there either. It's still outperforming the indexes, which is certainly worth noting for those of you who are in the crypto space. For those of you who are hodling that Bitcoin, it's down only 110 points. When you compare it to everything else, it's not doing too shabby, only down 0.5%. So it is really not looking bad at all. Let me shout out my starting five real quick. We got Pastor David Hopper, Lexa, Gabriel, Alan Roth, and John Gosson. You guys are our starting five. If you do not make the starting five, it could be because you're not subscribed to this channel or hitting that notification bell. So make sure you do them both as you walk in through that door. And if you don't mind, to help show some additional support, also hit that thumbs up as well. Guys, before we get into anything, I also want to encourage you to check out the link in the chat as well. For those of you who are in the Chaos Crew, I'm continually trying to make sure that everybody gets to where they need to be. If you're in the Chaos Crew, if you have a logo next to your name, if you have a bull or a bear next to your name, make sure that you're hitting that link in the chat, because I am no longer going to be providing services on YouTube or on WeTrade HQ. It's all going to live under the Patreon umbrella. It's just going to make my life easier. We have too many Chaos Crew members living in too many different areas, and everybody just needs to be in one specific home. We all need to live under one roof. So make sure you're doing that. Again, the link is in the chat as well. Go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/ownthechaos. Would love to have you guys over there. Even if you're not part of the Chaos Crew yet, what you can get if you're part of the crew, you get access to my Discord. You get access to all kinds of private videos, as well as trade alerts and many other things that we provide. Portfolio reviews, all that stuff happens within the Chaos Crew. If you want access to that, it's only $5 to $20 a month, depending on what you want. Go there, check us out. It is just another way to show support for the channel and help me keep things going. So I certainly would appreciate that, guys. Thanks so much for being a part of the crew, for those of you who already are. Okay, so we have some things to react to today. Nike earnings are coming out this afternoon after the bell, as well as Micron. If you guys are interested in those, I will be covering and reacting to those as well. Let's not forget shit or legit, okay? You all dropped the ball yesterday and didn't put any SOL tickers in the chat. So if you guys want me to react to your favorite stocks as to whether or not I think that they are shit or legit, make sure you're putting SOL and your ticker in the chat so that I can react to them towards the end of the show. Would love to have you guys hang out and participate in that. Okay. Karem says, please bring back that pen hoodie like back in the days at this bear market. Yeah, I still have the pen hoodie. I actually wore it the other day. I'll bring it back. We'll bring it back. I got some speaking of sports betting and sports, guys, the Chaos Sports channel also has kicked off. I'll share that link in the description as well. We put out our third video. If you guys recall, Ann Tamparello, aka Tamp, on the show here a couple weeks ago. She and I have decided to partner up and create a sports channel called Chaos Sports. So go check that out. The link is in that chat right now. Would love to have you guys there. We put out our top I was going to say stocks, top games to watch in college football as well as the NFL this week. And listen, it's our third video, so we're still just flexing those muscles, getting things together as far as that's concerned. I think that it's going to turn into something truly special, and we're going to have a ton of fun doing it. So if you guys want to go check us out and want to talk sports, that channel is for you. Okay. So obviously, as I mentioned, the markets are down. I put in a poll here for you guys and wanted to ask you guys where your head was at as far as the markets are concerned. Are we close to a stock market bottom? Are we not even anywhere near one? Are we going to experience an actual depression that we haven't seen in some time? Lots of interesting responses. About 20 of you have voted so far. Make sure you keep those votes coming in as well. Would love to have you guys participate in that. But 32% of you say that we're fairly close to a market bottom. And then we have 29% saying that we're nowhere near close a market bottom. 21% say we're going into a depression, and 18% says 18% of you say that we are at or near bottom. So really good mix of votes. That's actually interesting. Most of the time, I try to make sure that the questions and the answers are create some sort of parity. This one, I feel like I knocked out of the park. You guys are all over the place. It is interesting. Let's take a look at the chart real quick, though, because I think that this kind of tells the story a little bit better. We can take a look at the Webull here. This is the weekly chart on the SPY. If you guys take a look at this, it is very interesting to see how we are now starting to fall below that June lows. So we actually did crack those June lows on the weekly. We touched 359.71 today. It looks like we're going to close at 362.88. We still have tomorrow to go through, so just consider that. But this is still looking quite bearish, in my opinion, if we're just going off of the chart and looking at the weekly chart for the SPY. This, to me, now that we've broken June's low, I think there's a possibility that we do go lower. I think 349 is certainly on the table for the SPY. We'll call it 350. It's 349.99. That's actually where the 200-week indicator is. So this is your simple moving average of 200 weeks out. So this is where your 200 week is, and it's interesting that it falls upon the 350 area, which also is showing us support. So that's kind of like the next area that I think is more than likely what we see. I think we see more capitulation happening because we really haven't had that major down day. We've had down days and down weeks, but never just like that complete flush out. And I think that that's kind of going to be an interesting thing to watch. Do we see that? Earlier on this year, I had mentioned that maybe we don't have to see some sort of capitulation, but I think now as the weeks have gone on and we see some of this crazy volatility that we've been experiencing, I think that we do need to see that now. I'm changing my tune a little bit. I think we need to see some sort of flush. We just haven't seen that yet, and I think that that's something that that we need to see now. I think we just need to shake out, see some major shakeout, and maybe that happens over the next couple of weeks. Lindo Van? Interesting comment here, says double bottom, then slowly up. Might just be wishful thinking, though. And look, maybe there's something to be said there, but October usually isn't too kind in the market either. Statistically, September is one of the worst months in the year. October isn't a whole lot better, but we do have elections coming up in November as well. So during an election year, October seems to be a halfway decent month. I think maybe this first week going in October could still be rough, but there's a lot to consider here. The Ukraine and Russia versus the world situation is certainly getting worse, not better. And that could make it play a huge factor. And I love what Savvy Money Show says here. Truth is, no one knows. We really don't. We just have to take what's given to us and react accordingly. Have a plan. So yeah. Don't forget DCTV. I won't forget DCTV. We'll talk about DCTV in a little bit. I can't throw everything at you all at the same time, all at once. But yes, I appreciate that too, Savvy Money Show. Okay, so we do have, as I'd mentioned before, Nike is going to be reporting earnings this afternoon. Let's take a look at what Nike is, what we're expecting from Nike. I'll pull up the chart here. Hasn't been pretty for Nike, like many other stocks, right? But this one in particular has been really tough. Let's take a look at Nike right now, and it has been abysmal. Over year to date, Nike is trading and is down 42% year to date since the first of the year. We're down 42%. I will say we're getting a little bit closer to an appropriate valuation for Nike with forward earnings looking at or forward PE, price to earnings, is at 26 times next year's earnings. And when it was up here around the 177 area, it was like 45, 50 times next year's earnings. So it is starting to become more reasonable as far as valuation is concerned. Earnings today are expected to be around 92 cents a share, $12.28 billion in revenue. This is a company that always survives recessions, always survives recessions. It's never pretty like most other stocks, but this is a company that I think that, when you look at stocks and companies that have pricing power, this doesn't have necessarily the same type of pricing power that like energy stocks have, right? Or food related stocks have, Tyson Foods, Kroger, those types of stocks. Not the same type of pricing power, but they still have pricing power. Everybody needs clothes. We need clothes to wear. We need shoes to wear. And, Nike is a brand that people gravitate towards no matter what environment we're in. We've seen that historically. You look at 2008, you look at the 1980s, you look even during the dot-com bubble. Nike has done really well at surviving all of that. So I think that, in my opinion, Nike is going to be one to certainly watch out for. The stock tanked around 4% today. Let's go back to the 5-minute chart so you guys can see how the stock's been reacting today so far. It's looking like it's about to close on the day at down around 3.25%. Could these earnings today actually prove to be halfway decent? I think that there is certainly an opportunity here. One article here from JR Research says that Nike has underperformed the market since our previous update in August. As a result, we postulate, using some college words here, that the market has de-risked Nike's valuations further in anticipation of a recession. As I'd mentioned, it was around 25 times next year's earnings. So that does make it a lot more attractive than it was even just a few months ago. Nike, as a result, the market has likely de-risked Nike's valuations further in anticipation of a weaker than expected Q1 card. Furthermore, China's industrial production remains tepid, coupled with weak consumer discretionary spending. Therefore, the recovery in Nike's China growth story would likely be delayed further, but there are reasons to be optimistic. And some of the reasons are that Nike's China segment could recover in the second half of 2022, of which we are in. Recent data show that China's industrial profits fell from the January-August period by 2.1% year over year. However, China's National Bureau of Statistics highlighted that August's decline in profits narrowed from the month earlier. Could we see something similar in September and see things start to go in the other direction? I think that we'll actually see some of that come to light in these earnings. Let's not forget, last time Nike actually beat earnings as well. They beat expectations. Last time the expectation for Nike was around 81 cents per share. They knocked that out of the park, came in at $1 per share, $12.23 billion in revenue. The expectation here is at 92. I think that they could easily beat that number, $12.28 billion in revenue as well. As we all know, guidance is going to be very important here. So if they start talking about China sales and how they're seeing, things going in the opposite direction for them in a good way, I think that Nike certainly has the ability to do well. Especially, we've seen this time and time again, right? How many times have you seen stocks just get absolutely pummeled during market open, and it ends up being a pretty good opportunity? I think that we could potentially see that from Nike today, but we never know. We're definitely in difficult times, and I think that that's going to be something to certainly watch out for and see what they have to say as we enter into the close here. Real quick, I wanted to cover Micron as well. That's ticker symbol MU. That is down 47% year to date since the first of the year. The expected earnings per share there is $1.37, $6.78 billion in revenue. Last time they came around and beat on earnings per share, but missed revenue by $4 million. That is not going to be good for them if they repeat that. You can see that the stock here has not been doing well. Let's go back to the daily chart. You can just see it's just been abysmal. $98.12 was the previous high that we saw back in the beginning of January, and it's now down nearly 50%. Down another 2% today on the day, and we'll see what happens with those earnings. Do I like Micron? I don't think so. At least in this environment, it's going to continue to be very sensitive. Looking at forward PE, though, listen, it's trading at 6 times next year's earnings. Do I think that Micron could go lower? Yes. Do I think that it is appropriately valued? I think it's cheap. And the risk reward is damn good. But we got to see growth. If we see growth from Micron, the stock will go off. Hands down, the stock will go off. But we got to see that first. Checking in with you guys. Let me know what you guys think about Nike or Micron. Presto says, pretty sure Micron will be flat for earnings. By the way, that profile pic is dope. Yes. So he thinks it's going to be flat, upside down head or shoulders on Micron. I don't think so. I don't think so. We'll see. Let's check in on Nike, see if there's any movement there. Now that we are officially closed. No real movement on that. As soon as those numbers start to come in, I'll be sure to share those with you, of course. What about Nike before Jordan? I don't understand that question. What do you mean? What about it? Nike did well before Jordan. You know why? Terminator. Anybody remember Terminator? Nike was real big before Jordan. Jordan blew it up. Let's not make no mistake. But Nike was still big before Jordan. If anybody knows that scene in Terminator, let me know. They like put Nike on the map. Jordan was the GOAT. Make no mistake. Arnold Schwarzenegger, however, brought Nike to the forefront. Okay. Am I still in pen? Asks Prince. Yes, I am still in pen. Very much so. Listen, sports betting is going to be $1 trillion industry within the next decade. I'm not selling it. Just going to continue to add. When Reese put those shoes on the beginning. Yes, Sean Dupuis. Thank you. Someone's listening. Reese puts those shoes on in the beginning, sets them down in the shop. The silver and black shoes. Yes. Says Mike Hudson. 100%. He's in that clothing store, right? He's in that clothes rack and sets his shoes down on the floor. And none other than Nike. I love it. I love it. All right. Looks like Micron's got some movement here. And it is not looking pretty here. So the stock is down 3% right now. It looks like it shot all the way down around 5% right out the gate. It's early yet, but it looks like those numbers preliminarily aren't good. Aren't good at all. Let's take a look here. You guys, I almost typed in pen. You guys got me thinking about pen. That's hilarious. As I'm looking these up, guys, just as a friendly reminder, there is the link in the chat. Go check out my Patreon and become part of the Chaos Crew. For those of you who are already in the Chaos Crew, need I remind you that you need to get yourself over there. For those of you who have signed up under WeTrade HQ, have signed up under ownthechaos.com, or maybe are here in the YouTube Chaos Crew, trying to get everybody to live under one roof, and Patreon is where it's at. So we are going to be shutting down some of those platforms, which means that you will not be receiving services under YouTube or under WeTrade HQ or ownthechaos.com. I want everybody to live under one roof. So for those of you who are in the Chaos Crew, go please check out the Patreon. That with the link is in the description. You can still get access to everything that you have right now in there. And it's just it's just an easier way to get everybody to live under one roof. I can communicate with you guys better there. You still get all of the crazy good stuff that we provide, private videos, trade alerts, Discord access, all that's still provided for you there over at Patreon. We'd love to have you guys as a part of the crew, even if you're not there yet. Go check it out over at patreon.com/ownthechaos. Micron comes in, adjusted EPS $1.45. The estimate was $1.37. So they came in just like last quarter and beat earnings per share. Cash flow from options looks like 3.78 from operations. 3.78 billion versus the 3.67. The kicker here is that they guided down. They see Q1 adjusted revenue $4 billion to $4.5 billion. The estimate was $6 billion. So that is a significant drop as far as guidance is concerned. So they actually came in and beat on earnings per share and beat revenue. But the guidance is what's really killing them right now. It's only down around 2%, though, as investors digest these numbers. Revenue, again, came in at $6.64 billion versus the $8.4 billion for the prior quarter. As I'd mentioned, Micron was expected to come in earnings-wise at $6.78 billion. And that is a beats. Yeah. Looks like actually, I guess it depends on where you get your numbers from. Seeking Alpha has 6.78 billion, and the actual is at 6.64. So according to Seeking Alpha, that is a miss on revenue. Huh. Interesting. All right. You know how this goes, guys. As these numbers come out, sometimes it's hard to keep up just because there's so many numbers being flown at you. But those are the revenue numbers there. GAAP net income of $1.49 or $1.30 or 1.49 billion. Sorry, $1.35 per diluted share. So the expectation there was $1.37. Normalized estimate was $1.37. So it looks as if maybe they missed on that as well. $1.35 is what they came in. And again, this is all according to Seeking Alpha. Revenue of 30.76 billion versus 2.71 billion for the 27.71 billion for the prior year. For this is fiscal 2022. And the guidance here is the real kicker. So guidance for Q1 2023, 4.25 billion. The estimate there was around 6 billion. That's what's really causing the stock to come down, although it is clawing its way back and trying to go green here. See if we can find some more nuggets on these Micron earnings. Yeah, I'm seeing that Micron actually missed, but the guidance is what's really killing this thing. But earnings per share, they beat. Yeah. There's a lot of mixed expectations here. Revenue of 6.64 billion, GAAP net income of 1.49 or $1.35 per diluted share, as I'd mentioned. Just kind of looking at some of these other numbers. The real kicker here looks to be guidance. And it seems as if chip demand is really falling off a cliff. Micron repurchased approximately 13.2 million shares of common stock for $784 million during the fourth quarter of 2022 and 35.4 million shares of its common stock for $2.43 billion during the full year of 2022 and ended the year with cash, marketable investments, and restricted cash of $11.06 billion for a net cash position of $4.15 billion. On September 29, 2022, Micron's board of directors declared a quarterly dividend of 11 cents per share payable in cash on October 26, 2022 to shareholders of record as of the close business on October 11th, 2022. Q1 outlook for 2023 revenue is 4.25 billion plus or minus 250 versus the consensus of 5.68 as I'd mentioned. So that's a stark miss on guidance. They were quoted as saying our technology and manufacturing leadership both in the DRAM and NAND and deep customer relationships, diverse product portfolio, and strong balance sheet put Micron on solid footing to navigate the weakened near-term supply demand environment. We are taking decisive steps to reduce our supply growth, including a nearly 50% wafer fab equipment capex cut versus, wow, that is huge, versus last year. And we expect to emerge from this down cycle well-positioned to capitalize on long-term demand or memory storage. So they're cutting their capex spend by 50%. This is according to Micron Technology President and CEO Sanjay Mehrotra. Probably butchering that name. So a big drop in capex spend also. Stock is down now around 1.5%. That, no bueno, guys. Check back in on Nike, see if there's any movement on this. Not yet. David Moore says, "What a wick on Micron." Yeah, that was pretty crazy. Ganesh, the Patreon link is actually pinned to the chat. It's not in the description. I'll do a better job at putting it into the description. So actually go to this chat in the stream where you just put your comment and go to the top of it. I pinned it to the top. So you should be able to see that. Primetime DJs. What's up, bro? Hope all is well. Any thoughts on Palantir? I'm holding and adding when I can. In the red, not selling. Palantir has just been rough. This is another stock that has been, has gone through it. I will say that kind of feels like it's bottomed out here in that $6-7 range. The problem is that they keep diluting though, and that's going to continue to be a problem for Palantir in this environment. until people are willing to spend more money on, and we'll just say it's speculative play, then Palantir is going to be stuck down here. If you got time, I think you'll be fine. But in the near term, it's going to continue to be rough for something like Palantir, unless they stop, diluting, selling shares to their employees. That's going to have to be something big that they're going to have to take care of. Lexa says, I called it. Oh, yeah, Micron. Yeah, I don't think that was really a hard one to call, but let's take a look at Nike. Any reaction there? Nothing just yet. Looks as though I see Jeff Pundicka. Where did I see that? Jeff Pundicka put something in here about Tyson. Another great stock that has pricing value. Here we go. Tyson Foods sold covered calls for November 18th at 85 at 65 cents. Very nice. Very nice, sir. Very nice. Feed the Bull is going to double his pen position. I don't think that's a bad idea, as long as you can afford it, of course. Bed Bath & Beyond. Bed Bath & Beyond, I feel like this belongs on Shit or Legit. We'll talk about this one as we're awaiting those Nike earnings. We can react to this. So Bed Bath & Beyond came in with earnings today, and it was not pretty. It was not pretty at all. They came in and had a horrible quarter. Surprise, surprise, right? Let's see. So they came up with numbers. Earnings per share of a loss of $3.22 per share. They missed expectations by $1.43. Holy fuck. Revenue came in at $1.44 billion, a miss of down from 27.6% year over year. They missed those expectations by $10 million. Outlook here, comparable sales decline on the 20% range, driven by improvements in the second half of 2022 versus the first half. So I guess they're doing some sort of better compared to the first half of the year. Adjusted SG&A expenses approximately $250 million below last year, reflecting cost optimization actions occurring in the second half of fiscal year 2022. Capital expenditures of approximately $250 million versus the company's original plan of approximately $400 million previously planned for the fiscal year 2022. Remember, they also laid off 20% of their employees. Their CFO killed himself, unfortunately. That was really sad to see, based off of some fraud allegations. And then you have, of course, Steve Cohen selling all of his stake in Bed Bath & Beyond. Listen, there's nothing about this stock or this company that I like. It is all bad news. And I really have a hard time finding any good reason to buy this. I really do. It's a tough situation. I don't know. I don't know if there's any part of me that will want anything to do with Bed Bath & Beyond for the foreseeable future. It wouldn't surprise me if they went the way of Sears, right? Chapter 11. Nike's starting to move here a little bit. Let's see if there's any numbers out on that just yet. Yep, here we go. Starting to see a boner candle. Man, I was 2 for 2 today. I was bearish on Micron, bullish on Nike. Looks like those numbers are out. And as soon as I have them, I will be happy to share them with you. Don't have them just yet. They will be out here. Just a moment. Remember, I said the expectations for Nike were about, let's see here. Let's go back. Earnings expectations for Nike were 92 cents per share, $12.28 billion in revenue. They came in and beat last quarter on both top and bottom line, and actually had pretty decent outlook as far as earnings were concerned for this quarter. The stock's up around 1.33%, so still hasn't really quite made up the losses for just today. So let's not get too excited, but the stock's up. Let's not take that away from it. Still no. Is this like a joke? People just hopping in here for no reason? I don't see the numbers out just yet. Here we go. I think I have them. Yep. They came in 93 cents per share, beating the 92 cent per share estimate barely. Sales came in at $12.7 billion, beating the $12.27 billion estimate. First quarter, 93 cents versus the 116 year-over-year estimate for guidance. Is that right? Could be why the stock is starting to give back some of those gains. Let me just double check the guidance numbers here. But it looks like they actually beat earnings per share, beat revenue. No surprise there. Nike always seems to do this. Guidance, of course, is going to be everything here. Let me see if I can find some more numbers here for you. Here we go. First quarter we talked about that. $12.7 billion in revenue for the first quarter, up 4% compared to the prior year and up 10% on a currency neutral basis. They're quoted as saying, our strong start to fiscal year 2023 highlights the depth and breadth of Nike's global portfolio as we continue to manage through our volatility, said John Donahoe, president and CEO of Nike. Our competitive advantages, including the strength of our brand, deep consumer connections, and pipeline of innovative product, continue to prove that our strategy is working. We expect our unrelenting focus on better serving the consumer to continue to fuel growth and create value like only Nike can. First quarter revenues increased 10% on a currency neutral basis, led by Nike direct growth of 14%. Revenues for Nike increased 4% year over year. Gross margin increased 220 basis points to 44.3%. Those are excellent numbers. August 31st, 2022 balance sheet. Inventories were at $9.7 billion, up 44% compared to that's not good. Inventories were up 44%. Not really surprising, but also not great to have that much inventory sitting around. Nike continues to have a strong track record of investing to fuel growth and consistently increasing returns. And no news here on that I'm seeing so far on the China numbers in this preliminary report. Maybe we'll see something from them or hear something from them during their call. But as you can see now, the stock has now given back all of its gains. It's now turned red. And it's getting even worse. The stock's down now another 2%. After having a decent reaction to those overall earnings, man, Jesus, still getting worse here for Nike. Let me see if I can find out as the catalyst as to why. Maybe there is no guidance on this. And maybe that's why it's selling off. Yeah, I don't see any real guidance here. Huh. Interesting. So right now we're looking at Nike that was up around 3% on the initial reaction to those earnings and then has given back all those gains and then some, now trading down around 1.5%. What a turnaround here. On an earnings beat, mind you. Looks as if perhaps Wall Street was actually, the whisper numbers, as we all know. Nobody was surprised about earnings per share beat for Nike of 93 cents compared to the 92-cent estimate. But I think that maybe overall Wall Street was expecting somewhere around 97 cents per share. So that could be one reason why the near miss really of Nike's earnings. But I still like the fact that they did well. There's nothing to hate about that quarter. Interesting to see how this is selling off. Yeah, so what are the numbers? I'll just refresh anybody who's just now coming in. First of all, if you're enjoying the stream so far, I certainly would appreciate a subscription and hitting that notification bell as I go live from Monday through Thursday at 3:45 p.m. Eastern time to cover everything earnings related. I certainly would appreciate that. But here are the numbers for Nike, okay? They came in and actually did really well on earnings per share. They came in at 92 cents or 93 cents per share. The expectation was 92 cents. And then gross margin, revenue was up $12.7 billion for the quarter. The expectation for Nike was $12.28 billion. So a solid beat on both earnings per share as well as revenue. I really can't explain to you just yet why we're seeing a significant sell-off in that. Diluted earnings per share for the quarter, as I mentioned, were 93 cents. That's down 20% year over year. And maybe that's why. I'm not quite sure. I can't really give you a clear explanation as to why the stock's selling off just yet. Maybe it's because there is no guidance that was given. There is quite a 44% increase in inventory, meaning that's just money that's sitting off the shelf, sitting on the shelves and losing value every day it's sitting on the shelf. So that could be maybe a reason why. Not saying that that's it for sure, but could be. Very interesting. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people cite the 20%, year over year slow in growth on earnings per share. Maybe that's it too. That could be it as well. So not spectacular numbers from Nike, but a beat nevertheless. Z Rider says apparently margins dropped. That's not what I'm seeing. Let me go back to this. I could be wrong, but I thought I read that. Oh, yes, they did. They did. They decreased 220 basis points to 44.3%, primarily driven by elevated freight and logistics costs. Lower margins in our Nike direct business driven by higher markdowns and unfavorable changes in foreign currency exchange rates, including hedges, partially offset by strategic pricing actions. The overall decrease in margins was primarily driven by North America, which took measures to liquidate excess inventory through Nike direct markdowns and wholesale marketplace actions. So could be something to that as well, Z Writer. I appreciate that was a nice little spot there on the earnings call there or the earnings report. Are they involved in the World Cup on November? I would imagine that they are, but I'm not quite sure, Gerardo. If you can confirm that for me, yeah, it could be. Yeah, the exchange rate continues to be a big problem. The strong dollar continues to be a big problem for a lot of these global companies. Nike's 52-week high is let's see. Nike's 52-week high is $179.10, and I believe that is an all-time high for Nike as well. Man. Oh, this is a tough one. Nike, Microsoft, or Google? I feel like you needed to have something else that wasn't tech. You have two tech stocks and consumer staple. Is that consumer staples? Is that where Nike lives? What's the sector that they live in? Industry just says footwear. Consumer discretionary. Yeah, there we go. That was close. Consumer staples. Consumer discretionary is Nike. So Nike, Microsoft, or Google? All right. Google. I'm going with Alphabet. If you had a gun to my head and I had to pick one of the three, I think I'm going to go with Alphabet. Ganesh is with me on that one. Where's the background lo-fi music? Send me some. I'll play it. Yeah, other people chiming in, taking Alphabet with me. I think so. I think so too. It's so undervalued. It's crazy. And I know that we can look at Microsoft and maybe make arguments to that. But if you look at Alphabet right now, Alphabet's forward PE is at 19 times next year's earnings. This is according to Seeking Alpha. If you look at Microsoft's, I believe it's significantly higher. Almost 24 times next year's earnings. So it is significantly higher comparatively. And I could argue that Google has a lot more value and a lot more growth there than Microsoft does. Microsoft's Azure is just growing like crazy, but Google has so many things going on. Alphabet in general. I mean, you think about this. YouTube as a standalone business, if you just took YouTube out of Alphabet, it's bigger than Netflix just by itself. All right. That is how much bigger and how much more valuable Alphabet is compared to something like a Microsoft even. And Microsoft's a giant, absolute giant. Not taking anything away from Microsoft. I own Microsoft. Still like the stock. I don't have any desire to sell it, but whew. Check it back in with Nike. So They came in, they beat earnings per share, they beat revenue, actually beat revenue by a lot. But there's some other things in this report that investors aren't liking, which is why the stock is down around 2% after already being down 3.5 today. Let's not forget, the stock was already beaten up today, down 3.5%, and is now down another 2%. A couple things that could be a reason as to why the stock is moving down. I think one big reason is the inventories. They have inventories. Z Writer noted that a drop in margins as well as earnings per share dropped around 20% too. So while they did beat on earnings per share and they also beat on revenue actually pretty handily, there's some things in that report that investors just aren't liking and is spooking them as well. So keep that in mind. I think this is actually a really good question. I'm going to answer this. I just lost it. Somebody was asking about content creators. Will content go out of YouTube create a problem for YouTube ads? It will. Somebody else is asking. Okay. Many content creators are moving out of YouTube. They are. As a YouTube creator, as a full-time YouTube creator, I would be lying to you if I said that my business was doing great, because it's not. It's significantly lower than what it was in 2020 and 2021. But I'm an OG. For those of you who've been following me for a long time, and I don't think Savvy Money Show has been following me that long, but I know he's been following me. He's been a loyal follower ever since he started following me. I don't think he's following me before 2020, though. For those of you who've been following me for a very long time, I've been on YouTube for nearly 6 years. I'm in my 6th year. And so I've seen the ups and downs. 2020 and 2021 was by far my best 2 years on YouTube, period. I was a full-time YouTuber before then, a content creator before then, but not anywhere near the capacity that what I was in those 2 years. Now I'm seeing all of that revenue, all of that viewership fall down to the same levels to where it was pre-pandemic. And I would venture to say that it is actually worse than what it was pre-pandemic. I don't know if it's because of the niche that I'm in, which is why I'm kind of like branching out. I'm not leaving YouTube, period. Own the Chaos isn't going any fucking where. So just know that. But what I will say is, I think it's appropriate for me to actually kind of spread my wings a little bit and cover other niches, which is why I'm going into football a little bit. I think that that's going to be an area where I can actually enjoy making content there too, and really connect with my audience and connect with my community there, just in a different setting with sports. And I think that getting into sports betting and that sort of thing can also be beneficial. So I'm just kind of diversifying my viewers a little bit because of just how volatile it's been. And I'm not the only one in this boat, right? You look at the big guys, me, Kevin, Andre Jick, Graham Stephan, they've all seen significant drops. Zip Trader, Charlie, I love Charlie. One of my favorite finance YouTube guys, doesn't get enough credit. And trust me, he's killing it, right? 600,000+ subscribers, but he's even seen a drop in viewership. CNBC, this is how far my research goes. CNBC has seen a significant drop in viewers just this past month, 127,000 viewers per day down. So it's happening everywhere. It's not just YouTube. I think that the maybe the comment was geared towards just YouTube being a problem, but it's not just YouTube. It's creators across the board. People aren't at home to watch, like they used to when they couldn't go anywhere else but their home. So that is certainly something to consider. Will that hurt YouTube? Perhaps, to a certain degree. I think that certainly could be a factor, but I don't know. All I know is that I'm not going anywhere, and I've put certain things in place to ensure that I don't go anywhere. Karem says the market is just crazy. Yeah, absolutely. Looking at Micron. Let's take another look at Micron right now. But that's full transparency, guys, and that is just the truth of the matter. I'm not above yet. Micron just barely went green. Let's take a look at that. I'm not above anybody or above anything to tell you guys that, you know, it's been rough for me from an investing standpoint, from a business standpoint, trying to create content. For one, it's not always been easy. Put your best friend, aka co-host, having brain cancer and having a terminal diagnosis on top of all that, right? And it's it's been a hell of a year. So, you know, still going to continue to grind this out and still going to continue to give you guys the best content I can. But hasn't been an easy year, 2022, folks, at all. Z-Writer says, thanks for putting me on pen. Absolutely. Nice financials. You're not kidding, bro. I think you're a bro. I just assumed your identity. Pen. Yeah. The financials are great. They have a path to profitability on their sports betting platform, and nobody else has that right now. So Penn National, I think, you know, you guys have heard me sing their praises for a very long time, and I'm not going to stop. Not going to stop doing that. Primetime DJs, do you still do any shows from the studio? I'm actually, this has probably been a long time since you haven't been on here, but I'm actually in North Carolina now, and my studio there caught on fire. So, you know, hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm still gonna have a studio, still building a studio, and I actually still have the studio in Baltimore as well. A buddy of mine who's also into sports and the Baltimore sports specifically, he and I share that studio now. So when I go up there to football games or what have you, I am in that studio as well. I'm actually going to be up there next week. So you'll see me from the Baltimore studio next week. Good to know that you're a bro. Yeah, absolutely, Meister. Appreciate it. Appreciate the kind words. Never going to get up, Acidane. Never. Any news from Fat Man Zoom? Ask Karam. Yeah, you can go check him out on his YouTube channel. He actually put up an update there. Not looking great. I got to be honest with you. Hopefully I can have him on the channel in a little while, but he's just not doing well. I would encourage you to go check that out. The tumors are continuing to grow. They've essentially, he's got 3 tumors. They've essentially tripled in size over the last 6 weeks or so. So not a great outlook. And we knew this. I think we were all prepared for that, right? You know, the type of brain cancer from day one we knew was going to be terminal. The goal was always to just defy the odds and beat the average expectation of lifespan. It's just kind of one of those things, you know. It sucks, but hey, is what it is. I'm hoping to have him. Hoping to take him to a football game. We're supposed to go to the Bengals game in 2 Sundays from now. So if I can get him out to the game, I'll try to get him out of here on the show as well. I know that he would love to see you guys, and you guys would love to see him too. Okay. Feed the Bull says, for me, you're laying on a roadmap how the entrepreneur should just adjust an environment. Yeah, thanks, bro. I appreciate that. Sometimes you just got to pivot, you know? You got to read the room. If you don't belong in that room, you gotta do something about it. Oh my God. Savvy Money Show. Literally, it is hot. It's probably 85 degrees in this room right now. I have the computer, my desktop, these lights. It is so warm in here. Presto says, I think sports betting will see a massive slowdown the further we get into the recession. Same way less people are trading stocks. Less people are going to be inclined to waste their money on bets. Au contraire, Presto. Betting and gambling is a vice. It is not the same as trading in the stock market. It's a vice. You need to have some sort of release. People who need to have that. People who are maybe depressed. People need some sort of entertainment in their life. Gambling, sports betting, and immersing yourself into sports is just like any other drug. It's just like alcohol. It's just like cannabis. It's just like cigarettes, tobacco, right? That's why Philip Morris is absolutely crushing it in this market. That's why Brown-Forman is doing well. So, and if you look at the statistics right now, while things are slowing down, sports betting is picking up big time. So I understand your initial thoughts on this, but in my opinion, I think that sports betting is absolutely going to be doing extremely well, especially during this football season, which is why I'm getting into it. I'm getting into sports betting. I'm also getting into the sports channel as well. So if you guys want to go check that out, I actually have a Chaos Sports channel that I just kicked off with Tamp and Tamparello, a former strength and conditioning coach. And we literally just started. So we're going to actually be giving our own sports betting numbers and stuff like that. But we have 3 videos up right now. So go give us a follow if you want to give our thoughts on sports and football in particular. Yeah, appreciate that. Feed the bull. See a lot of well wishes for Fat Man Zoom. Appreciate that. Yeah, hit the thumbs up. Thanks so much. I certainly will give Fat Man Zoom the best. Jeff says, what do you mean, Vice? I can stop whenever I want. These are. Listen, hey, if you don't have an addictive personality, perhaps not. But listen, there are plenty of times where I have a rough day and I'm like, you know what? I'm lighting up a cigar and I don't even care. But there's also good days that I'm like, I'm lighting up a cigar and I don't even care. So I don't really have an addictive personality like that. Presto says, that's what I compared to personally stop doing sports betting months ago because I had to reorganize my finances for other things. That's because you're an irresponsible adult, Presto. Just don't see anyone betting with money they don't have. I'm telling you, people will buy cigarettes with money they don't have. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. In my humble opinion. And there is data and evidence to back that up. Ganesh, do I still like Airbnb? I do. It's going to continue to be tough. This is something that people won't do. They won't travel as much during times of recession, unfortunately. Savvy Money Show says, it's not advice for me. I just use it to pay for my drink and drug habit until my hoe finds out. Oh my God. Hey, I'm not leaving YouTube, bro. Snicker says, I'm going to miss you on YouTube. Best wishes, my friend. Listen, what did I just say? I'm not leaving YouTube. I'm still here, bro. And you better still be here. Y'all still better be watching. I seen a couple of shit or legits. I'll do 1 or 2 because today it got. Here we go. Shit or legit on Fastly. I know it's shit right now. Will it ever recover much, or is it a dead stock? I thought they had an edge, but feels like they don't get anywhere near that level again. Let's take a look at this. I'm so glad you brought this up, right? Because there were so many tech stocks out there that did so well during the pandemic, and Fastly was one of them, right? This is actually one of my underrated stocks during the pandemic. Actually, April of 2020, I said that Fastly was a buy. Here was April 2020. Where it was sitting at $8.98, and then it shot all the way up to $136. Hell of a trade. Never saw those numbers again. Never even tried to get anywhere close. Does it have the ability to get there again? I don't think so. I think the reason for that is because there's so many other companies in the cloud computing space, the cloud storage space, that Fastly just couldn't grow fast enough. You look at the major players, right? Microsoft, Amazon, Snowflake. There's so many of them. You could just rattle off a ton of them off the top of your head. I just don't think Fastly has the capacity to keep up with that type of competition. Unfortunately, Fastly was great when everybody was working from home. Now that's not the case anymore. And so then competition becomes even stiffer from that aspect. Demand dies off somewhat. And then you have, competition that gets stiffer. I just don't see how Fastly ever gets anywhere near back to those levels. Great question, Oliver Thorpe. I'm glad you brought that to the channel. Buying calls on the Chaos YouTube channel. Hell yeah. Jeff says, should a legit SPY stays above 363, or are we sending this? To me, Jeff, I think SPY goes lower. I think we see 350 on SPY. This is your daily chart on the S&P ETF, and we've now hit new lows. To me, I just don't see how we don't go down to test this support level at around 350 on the SPY, as unfortunate as that is. But the bright side is that I do think that this will be a capitulatory moment. We see a big flush down to 350. I think that's it. I think that could be the bottom. Obviously, it's anybody's guess. It's my guess as well. Oh, you got me tripping, Snookeroo. All right, shit or legit on the XLE. This will be the last one I do. The XLE is an excellent ETF to be in. You guys have heard me talk about energy in general, and you've heard me pick individual stocks as far as the ones that I think are the best. Pioneer Natural Resources, Marathon Oil, and the big ones, right? Exxon, Chevron, those are all going to do good. Devon Energy, Diamondback Energy, Halliburton, Schlumberger, they're all going to do well, right? By the way, I just rattled all that off the top of my head. Somebody give me a round of applause for that one. Just a little pat on the back. Just a little fanny tap. But all of those stocks I just rattled off, or almost all of them, are in the XLE. So I think the XLE actually looks like it saw a pretty decent bottom here, bottom bounce at $70. We'll say $69 a share, and it's flirting with this 200-day moving average. I think it could get back up over that, and I think it will get back over that. Technically, it looks pretty sound, and fundamentally, listen, energy is going the hell off. When you look at what we're seeing with the Nord Stream pipeline and demand that's going to continue to grow in Europe as we get into the colder months, there's been no real solution for the supply problem. At the end of the day, people still need to heat their homes, and they still need to drive around to get to work and everywhere else they need to go. Demand isn't going to slow down there, in my opinion, and the supply problem hasn't been solved. We're going to have to start replenishing the SPR, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, and there isn't enough refineries out there to support that. So your gas is going to go up, natural gas is going to go up, your heating bill is going to go up, and for those reasons, I think the XLE is legit. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you Monday at 3:45 p.m. Eastern time. It's been a great show. It was good to be back. It's good to just talk about a bunch of shit. Maybe that was related and not related to the stock market. I certainly appreciate every single one of you. My community is absolutely amazing. And if you want to be a deeper part of that community, make sure you're hitting that link in the chat. It's not in the description yet. I need to do a better job at that, but it is in the chat. I pinned in to the chat. Go check me out at Patreon/ownthechaos. Would love to have you guys over there to be a part of the crew. You get access to my Discord, trade alerts, portfolio reviews, private videos, all that good stuff that is in there in Patreon. You help support the channel. I certainly would appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much. Have a safe weekend out there, and I'll catch you Monday. Bye.